Get in on the action with Sports Interaction. We got the NBA and NHL conference finals and soon-to-be finals. Are you ready? Baseball in full swing.
Oh, that's what they do in baseball.
Yeah, that's right.
This guy.
Competitive odds, best live and play, and more ways to get into the game. Make your next bet with Sports Interaction. Head to sportsinteraction.com/STPN or download the app. 18 plus. Please play responsibly.
So John Hynes, the former head coach of the Nashville Predators, was let go yesterday. And the entire time that Barry Trotz, the incoming general manager, now GM of the Nashville Predators, was looking for a new head coach, John Hynes was employed. And yesterday, we found out that he made his decision. It was Andrew Brunette, and they're bringing in Andrew Brunette. He's going to be a new head coach of the Nashville Predators. And it's not the greatest practice in the world to have your head coach sitting there while your general manager, his boss, is openly looking for his replacement and saying, hey, we're going to keep you employed. And if I don't find somebody that I like better than you, then you're still the head coach. I think if you are going to let go of your head coach for the new guy and do all of this, you let him go. You let him go find one of the many other jobs that are on the table this offseason, because it's not really unprecedented, but it was busier than usual in the coaching carousel this season.
Could have gone to Washington, could have gone to some of the other teams.
And there's
I thought more would come to mind.
I thought you were going to list them off, but like there's more teams that are going to come up because Calgary still needs a head coach. New York still needs, even though it looks like that's going to be Laviolette.
Yep.
Anaheim still needs a head coach. Like
Calgary.
I already said that. Yeah. Even though you guys for 3 weeks thought that Sutter wasn't fired. That was weird.
I forgot.
It's just, it reeks of dirty business when you're treating your head coach like this when you are yourself 1 month on the job.
Also, like, you're a coach. Like, wouldn't you'd think he would go above and beyond for one position in the organization, and that would be head coach.
Yeah, and for somebody who's so long tenured within the game of hockey, you'd think there'd be some more respect paid to the other parties in these negotiations in searching for his replacement while he's actively employed. Let the man go search for a job if you're going to let him go. There's no reason to hold him back. It just reeks of a lot of uncomfortable conversations because he's still employed and you're actively hiring a new guy to replace him.
And you're never going to see anyone criticize Barry Trotz.
No, that's the thing. Like there's hints of the words that hockey people use when something's like abhorrent, but they can't say it. They're like,
guy.
I didn't like this. Like that's the furthest I've read and heard about how it's gone. And I know fans aren't happy with how it's kind of gone, but in terms of people within the game and media people, it's a lot of, it's not great, and then they move on to Andrew Brunette's going to be a great guy for the team and all that stuff. But nobody really wants to focus on, hey, they did John Hynes kind of dirty here. Now, and I just want to at least acknowledge it.
Claude Loiselle and Dave Poulin were let go by Shanahan in August.
And basically ghosted.
Yeah. Here, my counterpoint to you, Jesse, respectfully, is it's sports. And if you have an opportunity to get better, maybe they expected John Hynes to be the coach. And then they thought, you know what, let's just talk to Andrew Brunette. And they're like, oh shit, this guy is way better. It could have, like, that feels sort of like it. That's how it could have been.
What we learned from the Shanahan-Dubas saga recently is these things happen very fast.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, it took 2 seconds for him to be replaced.
Yeah, and like Treliving felt like it took weeks, but ultimately I think they made their minds up very fast.
Yes.
Can I read to you from the Tennessean?
Please.
That I had I was reading.
And please always read to us from the Tennessean. Not just today, but all days.
My favorite paper, the Tennessean. Every morning I have my cup of best espresso and I read from the Tennessean.
We need a photo Jesse orders for coffee.
We need a photo of you.
Best espresso.
Drinking a coffee in Nashville, reading the Tennessean.
Oh, we're going to be there.
Yeah. You can get an actual copy of the Tennessean.
My favorite newspaper.
Who wrote this? You can maybe even meet the author.
Gentryites.
Oh, man.
Am I saying that? Am I saying that correctly?
Gentry Estes.
Estes. Now I got to go find the quote.
Man's name is Gentry? Is that what his name is?
Gentry? Gentry?
I would say Gentry because that's a word.
Okay, awesome.
Gentry isn't.
This is from the Tennessean from Gentry. Trotz said he interviewed 6 candidates and narrowed it down to 3 finalists, while still keeping Hynes in limbo as a backup option. It wasn't until Tuesday, Trotz said, that he broke the news to Hynes, finally pulling out the scissors and cutting the safety net with Hynes' seat still warm for Brunette. This is a quote from Trotz.
That is very aggressive.
I'm sure it happens all the time, said Trotz of interviewing head coaching candidates with Hynes still employed. I'm sure it happened here when I was here as a coach. You don't fire a coach and not have another one ready. It wouldn't be any different probably in your job. And then Gentry, our favorite writer in the world, follows up that quote from Trotz saying, actually, I hope and trust that it would be different in my job. I'd imagine you would too. And I'm like, yeah, Mr. Barry Trotz. That's not how business is done. And I hope they don't do that.
It's like, listen, the cold way Adam is putting it is valid. That, listen, you're trying to run a business here. You're trying to run it as well as possible. Fuck your feelings. I'm just trying to make it so that the Nashville Predators win.
Yep.
But it really feels like you didn't need to do it that way. You didn't need to do it that way at all. You had 6 candidates. So, like, there was no shortage of... You're not begging people to hire the Nashville Predators.
Really, he had 7 candidates because John Hynes was on his list.
Yeah, well, he could have been the coach.
Yeah,
he sure could have been.
He could have been one of them.
I think he did a decent enough job with like UC Saros and by the end of the season, a bunch of creative players. Mm-hmm. Like by the
He'll
end
get a job. He'll get a job.
Oh, you definitely. But by the end of the season, and no disrespect to the Preds, I know it was a lot of young guys, but like their roster was unrecognizable by the end of the season. Mm-hmm. Like Phil Tomasino is like your most recognizable name, and he's played like fucking 4 games.
And with the he'll get a job thing, this isn't a boohoo John Hynes situation because he has 1 year left on his contract. The dude is gonna get his money and he can sit at home and just relax if he wants to. It's just the business side of it. I don't think Barry Trotz is like, this happens all the time. I don't think you needed to do this.
I'm surprised that Predators ownership, that through their history has sort of been on and off stingy, was like, no. We'll get Andrew Brunette, who, you know, he really only has 1 season of head coaching experience.
And that's not even a full year.
Granted, it went great, but still, it's 1 year and it's not even a full year. We're going to get this guy, bring him in, and we're going to pay John Hynes to sit at home. And maybe the hope is they know other teams out there like John Hynes and they'll take him off their hands and therefore take that contract.
That's true, yeah.
By the way, I was really hoping the Babcock rumors meant another team was taking his contract, but apparently it's just expiring.
This is the last year of the deal, yeah.
Jesus.
The Babcock deal.
Yeah.
Will Sheldon Keefe make it to the day that contract expires?
Yes, he will.
We will see.
Yeah, we're pretty sure he will. I had a situation once where I got hired for a job and I knew I was replacing one person. But what they didn't tell me is that day they were going to let 13 people go.
God.
So I walked in the afternoon to my first day on the job and 13 people that morning had been let go. So it does happen in other industries. Media is notoriously bad for that. And that was a really hard day because, you know, you're meeting all your coworkers for the first time. And I was supposed to be I knew I was going to move to an evening show, but they're like, actually, we've let go of the evening, afternoon, part of the morning, and also a bunch of people at some other stations as well. You'll be doing afternoons for this foreseeable future until we can replace the afternoon show. So I did that, and we were so short-staffed that we got 1 day off a week for 5 months.
Oh my God.
And that's what you're just rolling that summer. It was bonkers. It was crazy. And so I tell you, like, that sort of thing doesn't totally shock me. I understand what you're saying, Jess, but I'm like, well, I think it's, competitive industries are competitive industries. And I feel like if Barry Trotz is going to come in and make his mark, he's got to do it in a sort of a a thoughtful manner on behalf of the Predators and not on behalf of John Hynes' future.